What's up, sports bettors? I have a ton of fantasy player props for you. So we're going to be looking at PrizePicks, Thrive Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy. So every platform's a little different, and as a sharp bettor, we want as many accounts as possible, right? We want to be able to find value as many places as possible, and you never know when the best bets are going to be on Thrive versus Underdog. So, for example, two plays I currently have open on Thrive, 1,000 to win 3.6K, where the first leg cashed, are Gary Trent under 17.5 points, Westbrook under 17.5, and then I'm on Debo over 60.5, and Brian Robinson under 54.5 rushing yards. So a few plays already open for NFL tomorrow, but I have a bunch more player props, so let's go ahead and let's get into it. The first pick I ended up going with, which you can see, kind of right here. Well, actually, let's start out with a bet I have. So I have this bet on FanDuel Sportsbook. I took under 6.5 goals in Sharks Devils, so lines just started ripping lower, and I hit it for the max I could, which was 462.95, under 6.5 at plus 108. And you can see they just blasted the line down to minus 115. So sportsbooks were ripping the total lower. You can see you can still get plus 110 on Betway, but lines just blasted lower. Every sportsbook is now pricing this, at like minus 110 to minus 117 for the most part. We were able to pick this up plus 108. So a pretty incredible bet that I ended up locking in and adding to my sheet where I'm tracking profit and loss. We're up 23K since the start of football season. On sports bets I've given out on this YouTube, live streams are up 8.6K. So anyways, let's get into the player props I have for today, using data, using math to find sharp bets. So the first play I ended up going with is right here on Thrive Fantasy, right? Thrive Fantasy is a very, interesting platform. This bet has a profit margin of 4.93%. And the reason it's interesting is they operate different than PrizePicks and Underdog, right? They have different payouts. So what you'll notice is on Thrive, it's less pretty, I would say, than PrizePicks, but any two picks you select, you're going to see $10 to win $36. Two picks, doesn't matter, right? You take overs, you take unders, 10 to win 36. That's what you're always going to see. Any two picks, you're getting, essentially plus 260 odds. $10 to win 36 total, of which $10 is your stake, $26 in profit, plus 260 odds. Now, the reason that's cool, and the reason we started making a lot more videos on Thrive Fantasy, is on Underdog, it's 10 to win 30, right? So it's lower. The payouts are lower on PrizePicks. On PrizePicks, if we pick two picks, you'll notice it's 10 to win 30 as well. So this new competitor to PrizePicks and Underdog Fantasy called Thrive Fantasy, they just offer, better payouts. So better payouts means it's easier to make money off them. It's easier to find sharp plays because they're offering better implied odds, right? So long story short, we've kind of gone through this math before, but because you are getting, 10 to win 30 for any two-pick entry on Underdog, and again, it's the same concept for all these fantasy companies. Doesn't matter what two picks you select, 10 to win 30. You can take overs, unders, 10 to win 30. It doesn't matter. 10 to win 30, what two picks you select. So essentially, when you're playing on PrizePicks or Underdog, they're giving you 10 to win 30. So the implied juice they're charging on two-pick entries is minus 137. Right? So long story short, when you're playing two-pick entries on Underdog or on PrizePicks, you should assume you're betting at minus 137 juice. Now on Thrive, you're getting 10 to win 36. So the implied juice is minus 111, $10 to win 36, like you can see right here. So they're offering a lot better, lower VIG juice because they have higher payouts, which makes sense. Less VIG, higher payouts. So the first bet I went with is De'Aaron Fox over 32.5 PRAs. I mean, pretty clear value on the over. Pinnacle has this minus 151. This is the sharpest sportsbook in the world. BetOnline has this minus 159. DraftKings, Caesars, Sports Illustrated, minus 121 to minus 135. So long story short, every sportsbook has the over pretty heavily juiced, right? Caesars a little less so, but, BetOnline and Pinnacle are all the way up at minus 151 and minus 159. right? We're getting this minus 111. So that's a value bet. You're clearly beating the VIG and beating the juice, which is exactly how you make money betting on sports long term. So pretty crazy value in this play, being able to get Fox over 32.5 PRAs at minus 111 implied odds on Thrive, which is what you should assume, right? When you're betting on Thrive, you should always assume that you're just getting minus 111 odds in a two-pick entry. So that's the first play I ended up going with. And again, you wouldn't have been able to bet this and find this profitable bet if you don't have Thrive Fantasy. You need more sports books to be successful. This next play, however, I'm taking on, underdog. Would I like to bet Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions on Thrive at better odds, minus 111? For sure I would. But you can see Thrive isn't offering this market. They don't have it. They're too smart for this one. They slept up here. OddsJam essentially just like scans all these sports books where they're setting all these lines and shows you the spots where they're slipping up. And there's value. Like it just shows you out of all this crap on Thrive Fantasy, hundreds of bets, thousands of bets, all OddsJam does is scan all the lines on Thrive, Underdog, all the sports books and say, hey, this is a massive discrepancy. You should bet it. And this is the bet in bold with a circle around it with a mathematical profit margin. This is the positive EV play. So again, if you're new to this YouTube, like a word I like to use is this is just rational sports betting. When the sharpest bookmakers are pricing a bet at minus 151, minus 159, and you can get it minus 111, that's a pretty good bet. It doesn't matter if you're playing on sports, sports betting companies like DraftKings, sports books, or you're playing on these fantasy sites like Thrive Fantasy. It's all about finding value enough to beat the VIG. We're not placing crazy 100 leg parlays to try to turn 10 cents into $1.5 million bucks. Like we're following a data-driven strategy where we can quantify our mathematical profit margin based on real-time odds in the sports betting market. So, first play I went with. Then we got Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions. So on Underdog, every 3-pick entry, you're getting 10 to win 60. So that's plus 500 odds, which means the implied juice is minus 122. So if we go here, you're getting 10 to win 60 or 100 to win 600 for any 3-pick entry on Underdog. So the implied juice is minus 122. Essentially because, the sportsbook is only giving you every 3 picks you select, any 3-pick entry you put together, they're giving you 100 to win 600. It means the implied price on every leg is minus 122. So that's what I went with. Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions was my first play on Underdog. So I need 2 picks on Thrive because I'm playing a 2-pick entry. On Underdog, I need 3 picks. So what I went with next on Thrive is I doubled down on Debo. So the line in Debo actually got even better. So you can see right here, Debo over 58.5 receiving yards, De'Aaron Fox over 32.5 PRAs. I hit it, 1,000 to win 3.6K. 2 sharp bets with a mathematical edge, right? We can quantify. So like here, it's just like, again, it's intuitive. We definitely want to take this on Underdog or on PrizePicks in a 5-pick flex. And you can see Pinnacle, the sharpest bookmaker, has this minus 153. DraftKings has it minus 170. Caesars minus 169. Clearly a ton of value in being able to get Joe Mixon over 3.5 receptions. Next so we have Thrive done. Debo over 58.5 receiving yards. De'Aaron Fox over 32.5 PRAs. And again, I'm just following the value. It's really that simple. You're like an investor. You don't have to bet on a particular game or a particular player. You're looking for value. If the value's in NFL today, we'll be betting on the NFL. If the value's on FanDuel, we'll have more videos about FanDuel. If the value's on Caesars, we'll have more videos about placing bets on Caesars. Right now in this video, well, at least when I was looking for bets and hitting out some, the best bets were on Thrive and Underdog. So that's what this video is about. It's really that simple. So once again, under 1.5 passing TDs, PointsBet has this minus 170, Unibet minus 137. So we're looking at all these sports books as independent data points of, hey, where should the line be set? Because in a 3-pick entry on Underdog, we know we're getting minus 122 implied juice. So really good value here. And then finally, we have Jaylen Brown, the lowest profit margin bet. None of them are as great as this mix and play. But regardless, ended up betting it. Jaylen Brown under 2.5 made threes. So that's what I went with on Underdog. 3 picks, 100 to win 600. Some of these picks you could have played on PrizePicks. So it doesn't look like you could have played this Jaylen Brown play. But you could have played, Joe Mixon, over 3.5 receptions also would have been good in a 5-pick flex on PrizePicks. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Then it's just pretty simple. We can see if any new betting opportunities occur. I like to just refresh and see what's out there kind of in the market. So hopefully this video was helpful, and let's make some money.